What if the very people you trusted the most betrayed you? What if one act of jealousy ripped your life apart, and yet, years later, you realized it was all part of a greater plan? This is the story of Joseph, a young dreamer thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, forgotten, in prison, yet destined for greatness. His journey from rejection to redemption is one of the most powerful stories of hope, forgiveness, and divine purpose in all of Scripture. The land of Canaan, a family of 12 sons. Among them was Joseph, the favorite of his father Jacob, and Jacob didn't hide it. He gave Joseph a gift, a robe unlike any other woven with vibrant colors, flowing and rich, a symbol of honor, but favoritism breeds resentment. While Joseph wore his robe with pride, his brothers seethed with jealousy. Their bitterness deepened when Joseph shared his dreams. "Listen," Joseph said eagerly one morning. "I dreamed we were binding sheaves of grain in the field. Suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to mine." His brothers glared. "So you think you'll rule over us? That we'll bow down to you?" But Joseph wasn't finished. "I had another dream," he said. "The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed down to me." Even Jacob rebuked him. "Will your mother and I and your brothers actually bow down to you?" The dreams felt like arrogance to his family, but in truth, they were glimpses of destiny. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers as they pastured flocks near Dothan. As Joseph approached, his colorful robe billowing in the wind, the brothers' hatred boiled over. "Here comes the dreamer," one sneered. "Let's kill him," another whispered. "Let's kill him and say a wild animal devoured him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." Reuben, the eldest, intervened. "Don't shed blood. Throw him into this pit, but don't lay a hand on him." He secretly planned to rescue Joseph later. So when Joseph arrived, they ripped the robe from him, the symbol of his father's love, the object of their envy, and threw him into a dry, empty pit. As they sat down to eat, a caravan of Ishmaelite traders passed by on their way to Egypt. Judah's eyes lit up. "What will we gain if we kill him? Let's sell him instead." The brothers agreed. They pulled Joseph from the pit, ignoring his pleas, and sold him for 20 pieces of silver. Joseph watched in horror as the caravan carried him away, the laughter of his brothers fading into the distance. Back at home, they dipped his robe in goat's blood and brought it to Jacob. "We found this," they said. "Do you recognize it?" Jacob's heart shattered. He tore his clothes and wept. "My son Joseph has been torn to pieces." But Joseph wasn't dead. He was alive. In Egypt, the desert sun beat down as the caravan entered the bustling streets of Pharaoh's land, towering temples, golden statues, the roar of marketplaces. Joseph was sold to Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard. In Potiphar's house, Joseph worked diligently. Everything he touched prospered. Potiphar noticed and placed Joseph in charge of his entire household. But trouble came again. Potiphar's wife cast longing eyes at Joseph. Day after day, she tried to seduce him. "Come to me," she whispered, but Joseph refused. "My master trusts me with everything. How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" One day she grabbed his cloak, demanding he lie with her. Joseph fled, leaving the garment in her hands. Humiliated, she twisted the story, accusing him of trying to violate her. Potiphar's rage burned. Joseph was thrown into prison, shackled once more. Imagine the despair. Betrayed by his brothers, sold as a slave, falsely accused, now locked away in a dungeon. It seemed Joseph's dreams had died. But even there, God's favor followed him. The prison warden saw Joseph's integrity and placed him in charge of the other prisoners. One day, two of Pharaoh's officials, the cupbearer and the baker, were thrown into prison. Each had a troubling dream. Joseph asked, "Don't interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer described his dream. Joseph said, "In 3 days Pharaoh will restore you to your position." The baker shared his dream. Joseph's face grew solemn. "In 3 days Pharaoh will lift your head, but not to honor you. You will be executed." 3 days later it happened exactly as Joseph said. Before the cupbearer left prison, Joseph pleaded, "Remember me when it goes well with you. Mention me to Pharaoh so I can be freed." But the cupbearer forgot. 2 long years passed. Joseph remained in the shadows, forgotten by men, but not by God. Then one night, Pharaoh himself had a dream. He stood by the Nile, and 7 fat, healthy cows came up from the river to graze. After them, 7 thin, sickly cows came and devoured the fat cows. In another dream, 7 full heads of grain were swallowed by 7 withered ones. Pharaoh awoke disturbed. None of his magicians or wise men could explain it. At last, the cupbearer remembered. "Today I am reminded of my faults. When I was in prison, a young Hebrew interpreted my dream, and it came true exactly." Pharaoh summoned Joseph. Shaven, robed, Joseph stood before the throne. "I had dreams," Pharaoh said, "and no one can interpret them." "But I hear you can." Joseph humbly replied, "I cannot. But God will give Pharaoh the answer he seeks." Pharaoh recounted his dreams. Joseph said, "God has revealed what he is about to do. 7 years of abundance are coming, followed by 7 years of famine, so severe that the memory of the good years will be forgotten. Let Pharaoh appoint a wise man to oversee the land and store food during the years of plenty, so Egypt may survive the famine." Pharaoh and his officials marveled. "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Pharaoh turned to Joseph. "You shall be in charge of my palace. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. I hereby put you in charge of all Egypt." From prisoner to prime minister, Joseph was robed in fine linen, a gold chain placed around his neck, a signet ring on his finger. Crowds bowed before him as he rode in Pharaoh's second chariot. The years unfolded as Joseph had said. 7 years of plenty filled the storehouses, followed by 7 years of famine. The famine struck not only Egypt, but the lands beyond, and in Canaan Jacob sent his sons to buy grain. They arrived in Egypt, bowing before Joseph, unaware that the powerful ruler before them was their own brother. Joseph recognized them instantly. Memories of betrayal and pain surged back. Yet he did not reveal himself. He tested them to see if their hearts had changed. At last, unable to contain his emotions, Joseph ordered everyone else out of the room. Tears streamed down his face. "I am Joseph," he cried. "Is my father still alive?" His brothers were speechless, trembling with fear. But Joseph drew near. "Don't be afraid. What you meant for evil, God meant for good, to save many lives. You sold me into Egypt, but it was God who sent me ahead of you." He embraced them, forgiving those who had wounded him most. Jacob and all the family came to live in Egypt, safe under Joseph's care. And the dreams of his youth were fulfilled, not in arrogance, but in divine purpose. Joseph's story is more than survival. It's about trust in God's plan, even when life feels. From the pit to the palace, God was with him. And here is the lesson for us today. Sometimes betrayal, setbacks, or delays may feel like the end of your dreams. But God is weaving something greater. What others mean for harm, God can turn into good. So now I ask you, if you were Joseph, would you have forgiven your brothers or sought revenge? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful Bible stories and share this video with someone who needs encouragement today.